வணக்கம். ஃபைகாப்ஸ் டாட் நிறுவனத்துடைய ஒவ்வொரு சிறு முயற்சிக்கும் ஆதரவு இறையர்களுக்கும் அதே நேரம் அன்பான மக்களாகிய உங்களுக்கும் நன்றிகள். பல்வேறு தடைகள் பல்வேறு சவால்களை மீறியதாக கடந்த 2021ஆம் ஆண்டு ஆகஸ்ட் மாதம் முதல் ஒவ்வொரு மாதங்களும் பல்வேறு சவால்களையும் தடைகளையும் மீறியதாக நாங்கள் பல்வேறு பேச்சாளர்களையும் அதே சமுதாயத்துக்கு நல்ல எண்ணம் கொண்டவர்களையும் அழைத்து வருகிறோம். அந்த வகையிலே uh, actually, we are onboarding the speakers from Sri Lanka in English medium. That means the C suit people. That means top head people. So we just went through our level best to make to onboard the C level or the high profile top heads, not only in Sri Lanka but also in other countries. To start with, we approached many weeks in a sense to one of the kind person and the most psychologist. Her intents will be not in the position, but the whatever the activities should be done. So that kind of a coverage she has. And also in let me tell, in Tamil movie Surya Singham, he just even though he has the money in his hand, but he just thrown the that field work on that, and he just went for the police officer to make the society safe and regard. So each the people who are fighting against the normal scenario, he will be putting action on it and saving the society. That's how I think we could able to see our respected onboarded speaker as well, because she she's Mrs. Nandini Raman, who is the she's headed with the corporate senior promotional team in the not the single label. It's a very big label in India. That means in, for example, Sony Music and because named called music entertainment scenarios, as well as who has worked with our Isaipuel AR Rahman and the big shots in order to make the music not only her intention to psychology way how the music could be able to reach the more people, as well as their rhythms and all, how it can be affected or influenced to the people to get the piece done. So from that position, she has just came away from that person. That means in order to make it in a significant way, she started a company called I am fine dot in company, in order to make her self satisfied, and not she already satisfied the corporate levels, but in order to make in a perfect way, or in a how to say, in a in order fill in the blanks in a correct meaningful way, she started a company, and in that she's the chairman as well as the founder on that company, and she's serving so many of people. And we would like to start our overseas top heads in English. So because we are trying to onboard, actually we try to onboard a lady in order first, because to get their blessings is like a mother's blessing. So in that blessings, through that we would like, so each and every whatever the obstacles comes, we can able to break all the obstacles in a not in a just tick away, and we can go ahead with the things. So we would, for this month, we would like to onboard our respected speaker to give her onboarded speech. Respected Mrs. Nandini Raman.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It's absolutely an honor and a privilege. I don't know in what capacity I can help, but I think it's so beautiful to see that, you are doing this, and this is a brilliant initiative from your end, where it is really about sensitizing people, right? We all have regular jobs, we have IT jobs, we are working in offices, We have to earn the money, we have to put food on the table. Everybody is hustling to get, bills paid and all of that. But I think somewhere we have also desensitized a lot in terms of what does it mean to be alive, right? What does it mean to actually really reach out, touch human lives, and actually be there for people? And some things which I think touched me about even my shift of the profession, like you just mentioned, from the corporate culture of being in a media giant company as Sony Music and then Universal Music back in Bombay, and moving to Chennai and actually training to be a counselor and a therapist, was almost like, I think, self evolution. And I cannot tell you how blessed I feel that, I'm doing this and this is my profession. It is my calling. And somewhere it helps me touch human lives. Somewhere it actually gives you so much of responsibility, right? When people come to you and they're not having a good time, or they are going through a difficulty, or they're distressed, to actually trust you in a very, very vulnerable space, to actually ask you for, help, guidance, support, empathy, validation. I think all of that is something that I'm absolutely thankful for. So thank you for having me. And I think, yes, it is very, very important that we are able to normalize conversations like this on a platform like this, and talk to people about what does it mean to be kind and really, it's not even about being humble, but kind and compassionate. And I really believe COVID was such a leveler, because when we actually had COVID, that was the pandemic. But after COVID went away, I think the hugest epidemic that was left behind was mental health. Almost everybody, I have not met one single person who was not impacted, not necessarily affected, but not impacted in some way with COVID, with their mental health, right? So people lost people who they loved, people lost their jobs, people were not able to reach back to their homes, they were worried about their elderly. And I think somewhere it absolutely has made us a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more understanding of what does it take to be a human being, right? Very often we judge the book by the cover, and we look at the packaging, and we, assess people. But like I was telling you, I think it's an absolute privilege to even talk about this, sitting like this, where, the common man is absolutely clueless. What does it mean to be, talking about mental health? So, yes, absolute joy to be here.
Actually, in order to highlight one thing, like you have worked in the entertainment industry and you left from there to make it the psychology basic. Actually, the normally the top heads, I'm just asking one question. For example, in the C-suite people or the top heads, when we are just onboarding them, we will ask how you can able to manage the negativity which the employees have in their minds, not only in their minds but also in their home back in home as well. How do you manage? In your perspective, I think I can able to ask this question because you are in the music industry and the C-suite in the level as well. So, how
Yeah.
the music or the rhythms of the music could be able to manage or in order to cure the psychological perspective from the negativity to positivity, how it can be transformed in order to make the, because if the mental health is not validated,
Yeah.
psychology, the normal the hands-on movements or whatever the words we are just using,
Yeah.
it will be something apparently. It will
Yeah.
give the negativity to who is facing just facing opposite the person. So how it can be able to managed or strengthen to make it in a cute way.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant question, because I think somewhere music is so powerful, right? And I think it has all the potency that is needed for people to bounce back. I mean, of course, today you also have music which people use during breakups and, when they're really depressed, and sad songs and all of that. But I think the music itself, when we're talking of just the arrangement of, various instruments, then we are talking of lyrics, then we are talking of the emotion that the singer uses, is so powerful. And I can tell you one thing for sure. I think it has the power to put anyone in a great space from a not so good space, and with zero substances that you need to actually enjoy, right? It's not that you need to induce yourself with alcohol or any kind of substances or medication or anything to actually really enjoy pure music. And music is so global, right? Sometimes you're listening to music which is from other countries, nations, genres, and you don't even know what the lyrics mean, but it can really kind of get you grooving. It can get you like so energetic, and it can actually make all the difference that you need at that point in time. It can like literally lift your spirits, right? But something more deeply that I would like to share, with you and the audience, is really about some of the tools and the tips that I have actually been able to pick in about 19 years of my practice today as a therapist, as a counselor, as a corporate trainer. And I just feel that very often it is actually about standing up for ourselves. We're so scared to be assertive. We're so scared to actually ask for something which is due to us, right? We're so scared to say no to people and preserve and safeguard our own boundaries. And I think somewhere it is that little bit of education to tell people it's absolutely okay. You can ask for whatever you want, but how do you ask? What is your communication style? What is the tonality of your voice? Are you going to be aggressive? What is your intention? You know, and I think if you're mindful of that, you will always feel that, from a CEO to the housekeeping staff or even the security guards, you'll have such a brilliant, beautiful relationship. You're never threatened. You don't feel like you're, an outsider or you're somebody strange. So I think a lot of it is actually about the way we communicate, the way we are actually able to process the information, difficult conversations. There's no guarantee you're not going to have difficult people and different people to work with, right? And today, I think increasingly the corporate culture has a lot of amalgamation of different cultures, people who speak like a different dialect. And I think diversity is so important. So for us to feel inclusive, not at just the surface level, but are you willing to let go of your inhibitions? You know, and really accept somebody and really look at their life experience, because everybody has experienced something. We don't know what they have gone through. We have not gone through the story. It's only when I speak to you one on one and you tell me, oh, do you know everything that happened in my life? Then I say, oh my God, his life has been incredible, right? But everybody around us has a story. Somewhere we just don't have the time for it, you know? So I think it's very, very important to take that moment to actually give people benefit of doubt. It's very important to know that they could be going through something, and it's absolutely okay. But one message that I really want to leave behind through this conversation is help is always, always, always available. I think we're so scared to put our hand up and say, I need help, you know, because we feel like, oh my God, I'm going to be vulnerable. People are going to start gossiping about me. People are going to say she's gone crazy, or she's goes to the therapist, she's taking medicines from the psychiatrist. But somewhere, when you are going through a rough patch, it is absolutely okay for you to be able to overcome the inhibition, overcome, feeling that, oh my God, is this a sign of weakness? No, being vulnerable is actually a sign of strength for you to be able to ask help and right intervention at the right point of time. And that is how, honestly, we have been able to save so many lives. I think in our country, we have zillion million people, and unfortunately, there's no value for life. So even if you have a train accident or you have, like, a huge crash, it's just a number. There are investigations, there are teams that are set up, and then eventually everybody becomes numb about it. But somewhere it's so important to actually validate what happened in that incident. How many lives did we lose? And what is something that we are going to do about this? So the reason that people are also in the helping profession today is actually to save that every one human life. There's so many people who are young people. When I started this profession way back, right? I think my average age of my client used to be about 30, 35, and we used to think they're having a midlife crisis. Today, that age has become 10, 12, 13. What is happening to the society around us? Why are people, feeling so much of depression, so much of anxiety, suicidal ideation, self harm? All of that is actually coming out in the open. So I just want people to know that help is always, always, always available. And I think it's up to us to be able to actually seek and solicit help without feeling that it makes me inadequate, inferior, or incomplete.
Thank you. Actually, I would like to highlight one important scenario. I think it's a correct place, or the it's a absolute right place to make it here, because we are just trying to do some sort of medical therapy, in which the medical therapy consists of the musical therapy or the speech therapy or the art sort of therapies, and very varieties of therapies are there, which comes into under the one umbrella of
Umbrella.
the medical therapy, in
Yeah,
which
correct.
what we are trying to showcase is we are just trying to reach out or approach some sort of singers or some sort of talents, and we are just asking, okay, just one or two sessions, just on board with us, and we would like to, because so many of people having so much of illnesses. So with
Correct.
the medical therapy, even though we couldn't able to cure their illnesses 100%, or the 100% is the right answer, 100%, gradually from 1% or 0.1% to some sort of level of pain, basically the pain, if we could able to reduce from that person, he or she doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
if we could able to reduce from that person, it will be somewhat give, they bless us for the initiative or the effort that we took, and they will pass this message. This is the
Absolutely.
one sort of things that you can able to come out from the negative, because pain is not
Absolutely.
only their pain, but also some sort of negativity that if they're
Absolutely.
facing up, they couldn't able to catch up, or they couldn't able to push their talents to out to the market, saying these
Exactly.
sort of talents we have. So we are just requesting or the approaching the some sort of people to onboard with us, and
Yeah.
we'll not only in Sri Lanka but also in India and other countries as well, we'll spread this message, not in the not the key area of the message, just even though how we onboard the people or the talents of for example singers or the tech people, saying that this singing program going to happen, but end of the day, from the middle to end, it will be term um, as a medical therapy to the audience, not only that, to the person
Yeah.
who is onboarding also, it giving some sort of satisfaction, and the employee saying, okay, this is the good cause that we are trying to do, as well as to the people who are supporting in the stage itself, or the people who are just pushing the audience friends, like just go and have a fun or sort of things, so they will
Yeah.
feel some sort of difference in their one, even though
Yeah.
not only in the concert or the program, but also when they are just going back to their home also, they will feel
True.
some sort of courage or the encouragement or the interest level to in a positive way to make some sort of good things in their with their talents to showcase to society. So
Correct.
I think this from this is the good start. Sooner we are trying to onboard some sort of, as we discussed earlier, the physical
Yeah.
events sort of things to make that positivity to or the make the talents to push to the market, saying these are talents, and from those whatever the amounts we are just gaining from the people from the fundings
Yeah.
and all, then we will be able to help the people in education, living and food to make their
Absolutely.
things or the life in a happy, even minimum, not in a maximum way, in a small minimum way, we could able to
Just
reach them.
existence. Yes, of course. Absolutely. I also feel, these are things that when someone like you thinks about, right? What is something that is realistically actually possible? If you look at the big giants, right? And I'm talking of multinational companies, I'm talking of IT companies, I'm talking of manufacturing units, plants, they all have so much money at their disposal, right? But
Correct.
somewhere to have the corporate social responsibility, that what is something that I am committed to, what is something that I want to align to. And when you talk of, counseling or any kind of therapy is really an umbrella term, like you used it, right? You have so many subsets of it, right? You could have art therapy, which is brilliant for people who are not able to actually express their emotions. You actually give them just canvas, paper, color, and tell them just paint or just sketch. And a lot of their trauma comes out in what they actually draw and represent, right? You have music therapy. You really have to view those sessions. It's a catharsis for the person. We use it in one of the de-addiction hospitals here in Chennai, and there's a young boy who actually plays the guitar, and the inmates of the hospital and the family members, of course, they sing a lot of prayers and chant hymns and all of that. It is just unbelievable when you see them. There are also other initiatives, like you can do gardening, because when you're growing something and your plant is growing or your plant is flowering or fruit is coming, you feel like, okay, I have given life to something. So there are so many initiatives, but I think again, it comes back to what is meaningful for people. Like for us as human beings, we need a purpose to wake up in the morning. What is my purpose to get out of bed? Otherwise, if I don't feel motivated, if I'm not encouraged that this is what I want to do today, I have no reason to show up, you know. And that is a beautiful exercise that you work with communities to actually get them to think. You work with teenagers, you work with adolescent children. And again, like I said, for us to have this conversation is absolutely a privilege. But what happens to people in communities, in the fishermen areas? Okay, or in areas where they don't have the basic amenities, for them to be actually, to do petty crimes or to become somebody who falls out of education, who's not interested in pursuing a job, are way more lucrative options than actually choosing the tougher path. So, how do you motivate that population, which is actually really beautiful and brilliant out there, but for no fault of theirs, have zero exposure and experience to know that life can change and life can be led in a very, very better way, where you are able to eventually make a difference to somebody else, right? And so your initiative of actually educating people, sensitizing them, having orientation sessions, having these conferences is absolutely brilliant, because it's only when we talk about what are the changes we can make at the grassroots level will actually change happen. Otherwise, we're going to be just sitting in, fancy hotels and in AC halls and, discussing this as a theory. Nothing is going to reach the last common man who actually wants to see that difference. And I absolutely believe that there is so much of goodness in people, but somewhere when the difficulties are just amounting on top of one, on top of the other, and they don't get the right help, they don't get the support, they don't have the finances, they don't have health care, they don't have policies, what do? Nobody wants to be a criminal. Nobody wants to murder people. Nobody wants to rob and become a petty thief. And somewhere, do you know, ironically, we as human beings are wired to be more negative than positive. So bad behavior is very easy, but to be good takes a little bit of effort. Now, where is that effort going to come? If I don't have mentors, if I don't have teachers, if I don't have somebody who can handhold me and tell me, hey, there's a better way of you doing this. Why are you doing this? Would you like to try doing this? Or what is something that you would like to enjoy? Right? If people don't have the time to train others or be compassionate, then we are going to just lose out. And there are like a zillion people out there who we can, whose lives we can literally touch, change. And I think that is something that just keeps me motivated to wake up every single day. Who are you going to meet today? What are the kind of stories that are going to come today, right? Because every individual or every client or patient is a human story. Their struggles are real, their challenges are real, and you cannot go back with them and change their environment. Like so many women in a bad marriage, right? So many children who have been abused, so many power struggles, so much of substance abuse, so much of poverty. You cannot go and fix it all. But that one person at a time is what you can make the difference. And that will have its ripple effect. Today, if I work with you and it helps you, you will go and talk about it to somebody else. That somebody else will pass it forward to, three more people. And that is how change happens. So we got to be slow, we got to be mindful, and we just got to just keep doing what we love and are passionate about. You just cannot think of saying, oh, but I can't make a change and I can't change the world, so let me just give it all up. I think it's just like, every drop that fills the ocean, it's really like that. Every person you touch, it's a better society, it's a better community, it's a better world.
I think I need to highlight one single story in this. When you take, I think when you are in your service in the with the Sony Music India and the business corporate, when you see from one, let's take one movie song, right? In that song, before that song and after that song happens, when A.R. Rahman has seen one sort of art in out of the country, out of India, there's a one sort of art he just saw that, and from that some psychological changes has happened, and from that his output has been changed, and he's right now in the world market as well as in the
He's
you can you
untouchable
remember in
now.
the open AI also. He's just signed with the Sand and he's just doing for some sort of research work, and this music
Absolutely. And
music
he's
in
untouchable, right? And
a very good way.
I remember launching Rahman's Vande Mataram back in Sony in, I think it was 15th of August, 1996. Yeah, 96. Okay, is 96, 97 is when Vande Mataram, the first album, launched, and that was the launch of Sony Music. Where we actually had the Indian flag and walk into the dealers' centers to actually give them cassettes and CDs. And from Rahman being that shy, coy boy to being like a world artist today, right? The journey has been phenomenal. And how did all of that happen? Of course, his music has the power, to heal. It has the power to collaborate. It has the power to reach a wider audience. But it was also the corporations who actually were pushing the agenda behind. So the thing is really that it is like, how big is your vision and what is something you want to make out of it? And it's exactly what you said rightly, a shy, coy Chennai boy becoming a global stage player. It's unbelievable,
It's like
you know.
a trendness.
Absolutely.
Actually, that
Absolutely.
sort of things we are just expecting to explore in the youths people to make it ahead with goals and all.
Yeah. And I also on where we spoke about Rahman, I think I am not sure if you're aware of like his Sunshine Band. So,
Yeah,
of course, he has the KM Conservatory, but also
yeah.
the Sunshine Band. I've had the privilege of working with a few children from there who had some behavioral issues and, who had a lot of aggression because, again, they come from the underprivileged section of the society. But so brilliant to pick these children, to train them, to pick their strengths, to give them an instrument that really kind of complements their personality and who they are, and put them on the world stage. Where is that child in 1,000 years going to get that kind of exposure? right? So I think that is when you are philanthropic, when you give back to your community, where you're actually doing work that you can map and you can see. But just doing it to that one community is not enough, is what I'm saying, right? And so I'm also calling out to people who watch, as viewers who are at leadership roles, who are at big positions as CEOs, COOs, CFOs, who can really pick one initiative